This is Talkin Hoopz, the show that discusses real NBA stories, gives you all the latest rumors, and gets you into heated debates.
It's dunks and layups. How many of his points have been jump shots? 0.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5.
0.
It's not happening. Not in this NBA. Maybe in the fantasy NBA that they're playing in, but not in this NBA.
We're going to challenge each other in practice.
We talking about practice, not a game.
Once the game starts, I mean, it's going to be easy.
You better get off whatever you're smoking.
Strap in, get your popcorn, put your headphones on.
This is Talkin Hoopz.
It's really good to checking out Talkin Hoopz. Talkin Hoopz.
Talkin Hoopz, the official talk show of NBRPA Miami.
Talkin Hoopz starts right now.
Talkin Hoopz. TalkinHoops.com. AJ, Kyle, Mark Strickland joining us later in the show tonight. Son's got a football game. Dad comes first. NBRPA Miami chapter. NBRPAMiami.com. Check them out. Michael Beasley getting waived. We got big news in Phoenix right now. We got Hito Turkoglu possibly getting waived soon. We're going to touch on Toronto. J.R. Smith has some comments for Paul Pierce. Already, I sense the rivalry. It's amazing. And on top of that, we'll talk about some free agency and Antoine Jameson's comments about Kobe Bryant and Dwight Howard. But Kyle, how was your weekend, man?
Weekend was good. I did my fantasy draft for football. So I got my squad all set. I'm a little upset. I had the 9th pick, and it's like a 2-quarterback league, so all the quarterbacks went, so I had to go 2 running backs. But
Fantasy's big. Fantasy's big.
Fantasy is big, no matter what it is. I play them all, and now it's football season, so I'm locked in for that.
You know, we had this conversation over the weekend, actually. It was at a barbecue, and everyone's like, you do the basketball show. Why can't you guys talk about football and this and that and this and that? And, it came down to it. I said, look, I like football, okay? I like football a lot, but it's very team-oriented. If everybody's got to play their part in football, where they don't have LeBrons, they don't have Carmelo Anthony's, they don't have guys that could really single-handedly take over games when it comes to football. And that's what I love about the NBA. I don't think it's as team-oriented. I like guys that get on hot streaks and can just dominate. I find that really exciting. I actually pulled up Carmelo's 50-point game against the Miami Heat earlier in the season. I was getting so pumped that I can't wait for the season to start now for basketball. But, fantasy football, it's big. It's a big deal. And, every single position, every play, it just matters. Where in basketball, it's just not like that. It's not the same.
I think a head coach will tell you differently, but I agree. I agree that, a head coach will tell you that everybody counts, everybody plays their role. But look,
right.
LeBron James can take over a game, and Tom Brady can't, because Tom Brady has to rely on his offensive line to block for him in order to get a pass, and then Tom Brady has to rely on the receiver to make the catch.
Yeah.
Everybody relies on somebody else to make everything go. If a guy breaks off a 99-yard touchdown run, it's because the block is in front of him.
Right.
LeBron James can just come up and down the court every possession and just drop buckets,
Yeah.
So, it is different, and fantasy football that's tops, all right? That's what sets the bar for all the other fantasy sports.
Well,
right?
that's why a lot of people just watch football is because of fantasy. Forget the fact that it's just football. It's become a point to people weren't even really watching football until they started playing fantasy. So,
that's true for some people at least, and a lot of people get the NFL package so that they can just scroll through games and check out the player that they have on the team.
Exactly.
They get all the teams. They can watch all the teams just for that one guy or two guys on certain teams.
Right. And now last season I did my first fantasy league with basketball, and I picked 6th. I finished 5th, but for most of the season my team we were 1-2, and then I don't know, just towards the end it just kind of dipped. But I got some good experience. I'm excited to get that started this season. So I got some good rookies, I'll tell you what, I'm going to try and take Oladipo in the with my 3rd or 4th pick if he's still there, depending on where I am.
No.
I really think he's going to be a surprise. I did the same thing with Damian Lillard. I took Damian Lillard, I think, 6th, and that was a steal. Damian Lillard really helped me, so...
You can't take Oladipo with your 3rd or 4th. I mean, you're talking about LaMarcus Aldridge, David Lee...
Yeah, well... How many guys are playing here? How many guys are playing? It's a deep league. We had 15 guys in that league. That's a deep
too many
league.
People.
We need a
That's
lot of
too many
people.
12 should be the limit in any fantasy league. 12 is like the max, and 12 makes it competitive and interesting.
Right.
10 is too little, I think. 12 is the perfect number. If you have 15, you're doing it wrong.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. One guy that's not going to be on my roster come fantasy season is Michael Beasley. I don't think he might not even be on a real NBA roster.
That's right.
He may not even be playing.
That's right.
He may not even be playing. So, Michael Beasley officially waived by the Phoenix Suns today. To me, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, guys you had Ron Artest, or Meta World Peace, excuse me, unexpectedly became a free agent. Who's another guy that was a big shocker?
Well, you might have Hito getting bought out in Orlando.
Right. Andre Karolinko. That was another kind of surprise that the Wolves didn't renew him. I think, or the fact that, not that they wanted to, I kind of thought that Karolinko was going to take that money. I was surprised that he didn't, and he kind of dipped. So, just a lot of names just been thrown out on the market that just you didn't see up there at the beginning of the summer. But Michael Beasley, easily now, to me, the biggest name left on the market. Who's next to him? Lamar Odom? And what's been going on with Lamar Odom? So, I don't know what's going on, but I think Michael Beasley is now the biggest name in free agency out there.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, how what a team needs. If a team doesn't really need a forward, then Michael Beasley doesn't really rank that high on free agency. I think, all the guys that are left on the free agent market are more like vet minimum guys. So right. Michael Beasley is probably the biggest name, but he comes with a lot of baggage. I mean, he's had 3 incidents with the law just when he was in Phoenix alone.
Right.
And go back to Minnesota, he was busted for marijuana possession. And speeding. You go back to Miami, he had incidents with pot. In the rookie program, he had issues with that. Right. So, just constant issues with the law, constant off-the-court issues. That's going to hold teams back. I mean, who wants to sign a guy who, A, hasn't lived up to his potential, B, is probably not going to help you that much, and C, comes with more off-the-court than on-the-court issues.
Right. No, agreed. And now, the Phoenix Suns, they're in the rebuilding phase. So, this is the right move at the right time for them, if this is like what they're serious about.
But they believed in him and they gave him a real shot because they signed him to a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
Means that, they didn't sign him to a 1-year deal with a team option for the second. They believed in him enough to say, hey, we're going to give you a 3-year commitment.
Right. Agreed. Totally agreed. But when it comes down to it, I don't think Michael Beasley's head was there like it never is. This is now going to be his 4th NBA team in 5 seasons. That's kind of crazy. Guy comes into the league like that. It's just kind of crazy. 2nd overall pick, starts with Miami, didn't work out there, had some issues with everybody, goes to Minnesota. His game is just, he's not getting along with the coach. He's having, again, off-the-court problems. This is a guy that had problems in the rookie program, had the drug thing going on, still continued to use it. What was it, marijuana? Still continued to use marijuana throughout his career, still getting caught for it. Pulled over on the side. I mean, guy's got a lot of baggage. This is a lot. And it just, look, when you're rebuilding like Phoenix is, you got to get rid of it now. You got to do it. Just make it happen.
Yeah, you got to cut ties because you got a bunch of young guys on the team and you don't want possible influence. If you think that this guy is not upholding, a certain standard that the team expects from him, then you got to get rid of him because you don't want him exposing some of these other guys to that world and introducing them to that. And they are very inexperienced and very young. I mean, Alex Len, who they just drafted, he's a big part of their future. Eric Bledsoe now, who comes over in the trade from the Clippers.
That is the future. Eric Bledsoe is the Phoenix Suns' future right there.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to re-sign him in the coming months, maybe in the next year. They're going to have to re-sign him to an extension.
Right.
He's only going to get a qualifying offer next year after next season. But he's a part. Goran Dragic is another big part. Archie Goodwin. They have a lot of guys, but they're all very young. So getting rid of Beasley is probably the best. And going forward, they're probably not going to make the playoffs this year. But I am excited for the Phoenix Suns. I think that they have a bright future ahead. And Jeff Hornacek.
Well, I'm glad you're excited. If you're excited, that means we should all be excited, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like the players on the team. I think that the players on the team are talented. So there's always the possibility when you have young talent.
Right.
And everybody's calling Bledsoe the young LeBron, the mini LeBron.
Right. Well, now he's got an opportunity, and, when we have head coach Jeff Hornacek come on the show, definitely be talking to him a lot about Eric Bledsoe and get his thoughts on the young guard. But getting back to Beasley, it's a tough situation, I think, for him. I mean, where does he go now? And hoping that he gets back onto an NBA team, unless this guy goes through some serious counseling or therapy or whatever he needs to do, he's got to get his life straight, I think, before he even plays basketball. I
can't see a contender taking a chance on him.
No.
Would the Spurs take him? Would the Heat take him?
The answer is the Bobcats are going to take him. That's who would take him. It's a team like the Bobcats.
Yeah, I don't even think that they would take him. The Kings, they have their own issues. They're not going to take on another guy with issues. They're dealing with the DeMarcus Cousins situation on like a daily basis, it seems like.
Right.
So they're not going to take him.
Yeah, you got that right. Kings are definitely not going to take Michael Beasley.
The Lakers, with all the trouble that they have between Kobe and Dwight, I don't think that they're going to make Kobe go through something like that, a similar situation with a guy who's kind of not there and doesn't have that same level of competitiveness as Kobe.
Right.
I think the Lakers will bring him on. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Houston brings him in. Houston, it might be a possibility.
Right.
Dallas, if they really think that Dirk can mentor this guy and get him playing,
Dallas is a good option. I think
Mark
Dallas
Cuban kind of always does the unexpected.
Yeah.
So maybe Cuban takes a flyer on him. Those are some of the possibilities that I'm thinking just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Rebuilding teams that are young. Washington, no. Cleveland, no. Orlando, no. Detroit, no.
No.
Those teams aren't going to risk bringing him in and have him, destroy something that they're trying to build.
Right. Same thing with even Milwaukee. After everything that happened last season, they definitely don't want more head cases. So,
right.
It'll be interesting to see where he lands. But, the potential's still there for this guy. This is a guy in preseason last year. He dropped 40 points. I thought last year he was going to have a really good season with the Suns. But his attitude, his mentality, it kept him really out of some serious minutes, and it wasn't working out. So, it's a shame, but Michael Beasley, I'm sure we'll see him again in the NBA. Where? That's to be determined. We will find out.
I think if he took off maybe at least part of this upcoming season.
Yeah.
And really showed teams that he's making an effort to improve his situation and get better. And he's in the gym, he's not losing a step, because obviously that's one of the more important things, is that you can still play with these guys in the NBA.
Right.
Then I think that it's a serious contender would take a look at him and say, all right, you know what, maybe this guy is turning his life around and we can get a steal off the free agent market.
Right.
That's the only way I see him catching on with the contender. And that would be in his best interest.
Right. But if it doesn't work out, you could just add Beasley to the list of number 2 overall picks in a draft that just did not really amount to anything.
You know what happens? There's a lot of guys that get drafted. Kwame Brown, Adam Morrison. There's a lot of guys that just get drafted high and just never materialize.
But it's so interesting. It's very interesting that it's more times the second pick. Look, Kevin Durant stands out as the only second-round pick that turned out to be incredible in my eyes. Like, incredible.
Second pick overall.
But, yeah, second overall pick in any NBA draft. Guys like Evan Turner, Marvin Williams, Emeka Okafor. I mean, these are guys that to me just didn't amount to their overall potential or what they should have been or how good they were in college. Their games didn't translate over into the NBA. It just didn't.
Yeah, Sean Bradley was a second-round pick. A second pick overall. Danny Ferry was a second pick overall.
There you go.
Sam Bowie.
Hey,
Sam Bowie was
Derek Williams. How about Derek Williams?
Derek Williams. Well, I think it's too early.
Look, potential, all right? There's potential, but Beasley's in the same situation. To me, Beasley and Derek Williams, they're very similar. They're not too...
Yeah, but their careers are still... Derek Williams has 10, 13 years ahead of him.
Right.
You look at the other guys that we were talking about, Darko Milicic, Danny Ferry. Their careers are over already, and they were second pick overall. Sean Bradley was second pick overall. Sam Bowie.
Yeah.
I think Derek Williams still has the potential. Maybe that's not the best team for him. Kevin Love takes up a lot of minutes at power forward.
But he didn't. But last season he didn't play. He didn't play last season.
But that was only one. That's only one season. I think that he needs to really maybe get on another team in another situation that can sort of feature him more. I remember the Knicks were thinking about bringing him in,
right?
And maybe making a trade for him. But he needs to go to a team that may feature him more. I mean, such a high pick, you'd think that he'd get more burn.
Well, they said he plays better when Rubio's on the floor, but look, bottom line is I'm just saying there's a lot of second overall picks that just have not amounted to, I feel, what they should have. Their college game just didn't translate over to the NBA level. And, in Beasley's case, I think it's more a combination of his attitude, but still, he's a second overall pick, and right now he's not even in the NBA. So, to me, that just add him to the list.
Right.
How about, all right, let's go to Orlando, all right? That whole situation, another team that's going through the rebuilding phase. Dwight Howard's out of the picture now. And we say this now, we say this to this day. The Magic got the best part of that deal, in my opinion. That everybody else is gone. Iguodala's in Golden State. Bynum is not in Philly. And Dwight Howard is not with the Lakers. Meanwhile, the Magic got all this young talent. And
right.
So to me, they're in the right direction. They made out like bandits in that trade right now. They're looking like the winners in that deal. But they're in rebuilding mode. They draft Victor Oladipo, and hey, this guy, he's put up 28 points, and you saw that in the what was it, a charity game, whatever,
a Drew League maybe,
Drew League, okay, a Drew League game, 28 points against Kevin Durant. I mean, granted, it's the Drew League, but come on, these guys they're competitive, they're going head-to-head. I was pretty impressed. Saw what he did in the Summer League, Victor Oladipo. They have
a great young team. Oladipo, obviously, he's seen as an early candidate for Rookie of the Year. I mean,
right.
The game hasn't even been played yet.
Right.
But when you look at preseason and based off of what they've done in college and the situations that they're in now in the NBA,
right.
Oladipo's solid contender for Rookie of the Year. Then you have Aaron Aflalo, who is a core player. We spoke to Harold Ellis, who's over in Orlando. He considers Aaron Aflalo as one of the core players on the team.
Right.
Hito Turkoglu, if they buy him out, that's a lot of money saved for them, so they can lighten their wallets there.
Yeah.
Mo Harkless, Vucevic, young guys that have a lot of talent. Tobias Harris, I know you're very high on him.
Yep.
Another guy. These guys are very young with very high ceilings.
Right.
Harris, Vucevic, Harkless. It's going to take them a while, I think. This season is not the season for them to make the playoffs, but I think in 2 years from now, they're going to be competing for that 6, 7, 8 seed. Depending on what they do in free agency, I think 6, 7, 8 seed is very realistic for them, in 2 years.
Yeah. But, Beasley gets waived in Phoenix. Now Hito Turkoglu in a similar situation, though he doesn't have too many off-the-court problems. Last season he did have that thing with the steroid, whatever he was taking or shouldn't have been taking, whatever that was, that kept him out for 20 games, whatever it was.
20-game ban.
Okay.
And he was hurt also.
Okay. But Turkoglu, Magic are in a rebuilding phase. This guy's got a pretty hefty contract. This is not like a small contract. He's got a pretty big deal. So
you got $12 million due to him this year.
Right. So get rid of it now. Get rid of it now. There's no reason to keep him on the team. Build the young talent, develop it. You got a good coach, I think, in Jacques Vaughn, who did a pretty solid job. I think the Magic last season would have finished better if they were healthy. Glenn Davis wasn't healthy. Bino Udrih.
Yeah, but what's better? I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs with Glenn Davis and Hito Turkoglu.
No. But I'm saying they wouldn't have as many blowouts. They were a much more competitive team when those guys were healthy. In my opinion, they were predicted to be the worst team in the NBA. And when it wasn't looking like they were going to be the worst team when these guys were healthy. So, I don't know. Look, Victor Oladipo, he's obviously going to be a game changer, and hopefully we'll get a chance to ask him if he's going to be the leader of this team, if he thinks he's ready to be the leader of this team. And Harris, I think Tobias Harris is really going to take on a different role this season, and get more minutes, more playing time. That to me, that's their future. Oladipo and Harris. I think those are two really good pieces, and Mo Harkless is there also.
And you can't forget about Vucevic, man. I mean, this guy.
Yeah.
He averaged a double-double last year. 13 and 12.
Yeah.
13 and 12. And I remember we had this conversation about who should be most improved player.
Yeah, he was there. He was in there.
And I thought that Vucevic should have been most improved. And who are you going with? You wanted Paul George or something like that?
No, I didn't say that. You said Paul George. I said
Vucevic.
No, you did not say Vucevic because
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you did.
Specifically.
No, this is what happened. Oh,
and
maybe.
Saying, how is Paul George?
I said Omar Asik. I think that's who I said.
Americi? I don't think you were saying that.
Paul, who won six-man?
You were saying somebody who was like an all-star last year or near an all-star level last year.
Most improved. Maybe you know what? Maybe it was Paul. Maybe I did say Paul George.
Yeah, I think he was saying, and he was already, he was very good last year.
Right.
This year,
the numbers did jump. In his defense, the numbers did jump. Paul George.
Vucevic goes from 5 points and 4 rebounds,
right,
to 13 and 12.
Right.
I mean, he goes from being a non-factor on the court to a double-double machine.
Right. I think it was just what happened to Paul George. He became an all-star. The Pacers were doing really well. Danny Granger wasn't there. I mean, to me, I just factored a lot of that into Paul George being most improved player. His numbers were up. I mean, I know you're saying he's a good player, but he got more minutes, so his numbers went up. But same thing with Vucevic. He got more minutes, his numbers went up. So, that if I said Paul George and that was my defense, it was so long ago though. I really don't remember.
Yeah, I don't
I'll be
remember
totally honest.
All right.
But all right, but no, they do. They have a lot of young talent, the Magic. So it's just like Phoenix, But I think they right now the Magic to me have a more promising future because we've seen the talent. We saw some of the young pieces last season. Phoenix, Bledsoe's now on that team. What's he going to bring? Who's the other guy? The guy they just drafted, Len. We haven't seen him play in the NBA yet. Right, we haven't seen him play in the NBA yet. But I think we've seen what the guys on the Magic are capable of. And now is the time to develop them and get rid of a guy like Hedo Turkoglu. Well, you can, Or trade him. Try and trade him.
No, you can't trade that.
No, I know. But still, you could try. That's why that's what GMs do. That's their job. They got to figure out a way to make the roster better.
That's what PlayStation GMs do. No GM is going to explore a trade for Hedo Turkoglu at this point.
Yeah.
He's probably going to head overseas. He's probably not even going to be in the NBA.
Yeah.
When he gets bought out.
I don't know.
Hey, wake up, man. What are you falling asleep over there?
You know what it is? I like Turkoglu, all right? It's a bad situation for him in Orlando because he really shouldn't be on that team. But I like his game. I always liked this guy. I think it's just kind of...
But not at 33 years old coming off of an injury and a steroid ban.
Nah, but he's a shooter. Shooters don't forget. Guys
can get hurt. And if you're
I got a soft spot for shooters, all right? I got a soft spot for shooters. Okay. I always will. Turkoglu's a shooter.
Okay.
Turkoglu's a shooter. So, if I'm Hedo Turkoglu, if the Magic do waive him, you don't see him jumping on a team like the Spurs or No, no one's going to take this guy.
He's going overseas. No, it's not that nobody will take this guy, but nobody's going to give him as much money as he'll probably make over in Turkey.
All right. Hey, that's why we talk about this stuff, But I just think Hedo Turkoglu, I think he's still got a little bit left. I think he just needs the right opportunity. He's got to stop.
I think we need to move on from Hedo Turkoglu. I think we spend more than enough time on Hedo Turkoglu.
I like the guy. All right. Well then. Let's go to Toronto, a team that Hedo Turkoglu had played on. All right, let's shift to Toronto and talk about Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay working out with Hakeem, man.
Rudy working out with Hakeem. I'm a little surprised in that. I thought because now he's with the Rockets in some kind of capacity.
Yeah.
And he's been working with Dwight Howard, trying to get him better, and he's officially with the Rockets organization, that he was going to stop these summer workouts that he does, because we know that he's worked with Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and Amari Stoudemire in the past and other players.
Yeah.
But Rudy Gay posted up a few days ago a little workout video, just a little snippet to show that he was working out with the Dream. And I was a little surprised in that, but Rudy Gay needs it. Rudy Gay needs to improve his post game. We know that he's not a great shooter. His field goal percentage is down, especially if you own him in fantasy and field goal percentage is one of your categories, and you know that he's been hurting your field goal percentage. Him and Iguodala are like field goal percentage killers.
Right.
And he needs to work on his post game. He needs to create easier baskets for himself. He needs to get in the post and allow other guys to shoot the ball, because that's just not his game.
Right.
So if he can learn anything from Hakeem, and we saw flashes from Amari Stoudemire on the Knicks last year when he was healthy. Amari Stoudemire had a much better post game after working out with Hakeem, and LeBron James showed that he had a much better post game after working out with Hakeem. So I don't doubt what he can do for Rudy Gay. It's just, can Rudy Gay, put it together on the court?
Right. No, definitely. Actually, I'm trying to get the workouts here. Rudy Gay working out. We do have the video. I'm going to put it up on the screen in
yeah, and another thing with Rudy Gay is that they brought him over to sort of be the superstar that they need.
Right.
So it's good to see that he's taking that, in stride, and he's trying to be the leader and improve his game. He's a veteran, and he's trying to improve his game even still. So that's always good. He can make his money. Here's the little snippet of the video here.
It's a little blurry. It's a little blurry.
That's how it was posted, And there's Rudy Gay working. That's Hakeem's little move right there. You know? That's Hakeem. Boom. That's all Hakeem. There's that spin.
That's big.
So Hakeem's showing him what to do. And like I said, he's a veteran, and it's great. It's just great to see Rudy Gay trying to get better at this stage in his career.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? Toronto's got a great player in Rudy Gay. They really do. Guy is just unbelievably athletic. This is just going to make him better. So,
That kind of looks like me a little bit. I have a move like that. That's my move.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He stole that from me.
I don't know about that. But
who's that guy in the red shorts, do you think, that's just hanging out back there?
But I'm surprised. I'm kind of just surprised that these guys are still allowed to work out with Hakeem now that he's like working out with the Rockets.
That's
right?
what I said.
Yeah, I know. I'm just surprised that it's allowed to happen.
I don't know how old this video is. I mean, Rudy Gay just posted it up a few days ago. Who knows when it was actually taken?
Right.
But I don't think Rudy Gay would have worked out with Olajuwon last year and been posting it now.
Yeah.
So he probably did it very recently, and I don't know what Hakeem. I know it's not. It may not be an official role with the Rockets, but even if he is with the Rockets in some unofficial way, I can't see the franchise being like, all right, you can work. We want you to train. We want you to train Howard, but at the same time, you can help the competition out.
Yeah.
I can't see that happening. So I don't know what the deal is with that situation.
Right. Now, Toronto, they got an interesting team because we don't see them making the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs. I don't think that's really going to happen. But they do have just some nice talent, nice players on that team, and guys are looking to improve. Not just Rudy Gay, but you see Landry Fields trying to come back, trying to be that guy. So that he was in New York. Steve Novak, I'm sure he's going to get hopefully a different look to his game this season. I know he's going to be working on some things. Will he be effective? I know you're shaking your head. Will he be effective? I don't know, but that doesn't mean he's not trying to improve.
How do you know he's trying to improve?
There's been reports that Steve Novak's been trying to improve.
Really?
Yes.
I haven't seen any of those reports.
Well, you should check the articles. You should read stuff more, Mr. Senior Editor.
Talking Hoopz isn't running any articles about Steve Novak trying to improve the game. I'll tell you that.
He's not article worthy. That doesn't mean that he's not training.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to write a whole article about Steve Novak training? No, but I'm saying there's guys on that team that are putting in their effort to try and get better. But it's clear the GM, he's waiting. He's there in rebuild mode. I mean, that's why they brought that guy in to begin with. So.
Look, they brought him in from Denver, and he did a great job. They've been wanting to unload Andre Bargnani. He did that. He got rid of that huge contract, and they viewed him as a disappointment, and they've been trying to move him for a long time. And New York now took a chance on him.
Right.
They got Rudy Gay now, and they have DeMar DeRozan. They have some pieces that they can go forward with. Yeah. I don't think that they're done. You'll probably see them make some trades during the season because I don't think he's done, tinkering with this team.
Not a GM like that. They're never done.
I wouldn't be surprised if they completely blow it up even more and get rid of DeRozan. Trade him at some point and try and get some more youth or some draft picks. Anything is possible with this team.
Definitely.
The player movement.
Definitely. But, Toronto, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. And actually, while we're talking about the playoffs, before we go to break, I would love to, on TalkinHoops.com, we broke down the 8 teams in the East, and that started with, obviously, the Heat being the number 1 team. I don't think too many people are going to argue that. The Pacers at number 2. Look, Miami's great and everything. I still think the Pacers, I like the Pacers at number 1 personally. I know.
You can't throw rocks at the throne. You can't unseat the champion until you actually unseat the champion.
Okay.
You can't say Indiana is better just because looking at it on paper. The Heat beat the Pacers the last time we checked.
They did, but they beat them in a 7-game series,
Still beat
and
them.
it came down to the wire. This was
Still
not
beat
like. I agree, they still beat them, but
They still beat them.
Here's
the most telling.
The way I
thing
see it is
that.
the Heat. They didn't get any better. They added Greg Oden. I don't know if you call that them getting better, but they lost Mike Miller. The Pacers only added to their team.
No, they also lost players. The Pacers.
Who did the Pacers
they
lose?
They lost DJ Augustine. I mean, they it's not like they lost Tyler Hansborough. They lost guys. You know, they didn't bring back certain guys.
But they
here's
improved.
the thing: the Heat were 30th in the league in rebounding last year.
Okay.
30th.
Yeah.
Okay. They had Chris Bosh as their starting center.
Right.
Who had no rebounds in Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
Okay.
And they still beat the Spurs.
Yeah.
Okay? They completely should have been dominated by the Pacers. And it didn't go that way, looking at it on paper. If you look at the stats and the numbers, being 30th in the league in rebounds, the Pacers were, I believe, second in the league in points allowed and like first or second in the league in rebounds per game.
Okay.
I mean, the Pacers did everything that the Heat could not. Defend and rebound.
Yeah.
And the Heat still beat them. Okay?
Yeah.
Roy Hibbert is one of the best centers, if not the best center in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
And they still beat the Pacers.
Right.
So until you can stop LeBron,
Right.
and until Dwayne Wade can't play anymore,
Right.
and until the Heat stop scoring,
Okay.
then you can't say that they're better than the Heat.
Okay.
You just can't do it.
I just did it though.
But you can't. But you can't.
But I can.
The Pacers got better. They're going to get Granger back.
They got Luis
They
Scola.
have Luis Scola now. They have Chris Copeland now.
Right.
They got better. There is no question that they got better.
And how about just guys coming back that are still developing? You know, the Heat got a lot of guys that are established players. Most of that team, those are vets on the Heat. You know, other than Norris Cole, those are veteran guys on the Heat.
Okay.
And the Pacers, you got a guy like Lance Stevenson who's finally coming into his own. You know, when when we all talked about this with Mark broke it down to us like they got a bench. They got their starting five, and then they got almost like a starting bench. They got a team.
I said that.
You said that? All right, so you said it. So you're okay. So that even better. So you said that.
Yeah.
I don't think Miami has a starting bench. I know they have the best players in the game. Okay, I know that Wade, LeBron. I'm not arguing that, but judging by how good the Pacers played against the Heat and the improvements of the rosters, who did what? Okay, look, you never count a guy like LeBron out, but to me, the Pacers, they did a hell of a job against the Miami Heat, and they only got better on paper, okay?
Look,
on paper.
the
but they're
they
well
have a lot of
coached.
guys.
They're well coached. I know
Frank Vogel.
no, I'm blanking. Shaw, I know he's in Denver now. He's not with the team. I know he was a big part on the bench and talking to these guys and you know, his strategies on the court. I know he was big with the Pacers, which is why he got hired in Denver because he did such a good job with them. But, you know, look, they still got a center. They still got, like you said, Roy Hibbert. They got a good, solid backup center. I'm not saying he's not the greatest player in the world, but he's a solid backup.
Look, they have a good five. They have a good backup five.
Right.
Where do the minutes come from for all these guys? If Danny Granger plays, what happens to Paul George's production?
No.
If Luis Scola plays, then where's David West's defense?
But I think
give and take.
I think we have to see how that's coached. I think that's up to the coach on how he's going to manage this. You know,
Look, there's give and take. There's give and take all over. If you bring Scola
There
in,
is.
then what
There's
happens
give and
to
take.
David West?
There's give and take. There's give and
Okay,
take.
so you have it on paper, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work.
Right.
And
All
we
right.
saw that last year with the Lakers.
No, I agree, but I think this team, it's not like you're putting a bunch of superstars together and it's not going to work. I think this is a team where everybody pretty much complements each other. The attitude from most of these guys coming back, David West, Paul George, you know, Danny Granger was around the team.
I don't know how Granger and Paul George complement each other.
No, I think it's just they don't care who scores each night. It was more, you know, we talk about what I don't like about basketball. It's sometimes when it gets to be too team oriented, guys don't care. I don't like seeing like guys like Carmelo Anthony have you know, like an 18-point game. I like seeing a guy like him have like 20-something, you know. But, you know, Danny Granger, Paul George, David West, these guys, they just don't care. If they have 16 to 25 points, they don't care who does it, who has it. It's all about winning.
That's why they beat the Knicks, because they're more team-oriented.
Right, well, and that's why I think they're going to beat the Heat, because they just don't care.
But the Heat are the same way. I mean, LeBron James is a triple-double guy. All he does is pass the ball.
Right.
People criticize him for passing too much.
Right. Well, look,
These guys are not selfish either on the Heat.
LeBron, he's the best player in basketball. I think he proved me that when he had what he did in the finals. That was incredible.
I think he's the best player, and it's not even close. I don't even think Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, or Kobe Bryant are even close to LeBron James at this point.
No,
that
may be.
Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. Combined.
That may very well be, but. The Pacers put up a hell of a fight against them, and, I just think this season, it's just going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. But that's just, look, I know you said you can't count them out, Miami Heat, you can't put anyone against them just because they're the world champs, and until someone actually beats them, then we'll talk. But I think the Pacers got a good shot, that's why it's a prediction. They
have a good shot. I agree with that.
I really do. So... but either way, it's either one or two. I don't really think it's going to be vice versa. That's how it's going to be. It's either going to be the Heat 1 or the Pacers 2, one or the other. But then we said the Knicks coming in at number 3. Now, everybody's knocking the Bargnani deal. Everybody's knocking this. You still feel that way?
I don't feel that way because if they move Melo back to his natural 3, that's how I think it will work. If you're telling me that Melo is still going to play the 4,
right,
and you're going to bring or you're going to bring in Amari Stoudemire and Andrea Bargnani in off the bench,
right,
you just can't do it because one of them is going to lose minutes,
right.
And then if you say, okay, fine, we'll put Amari at the 5 and Bargnani at the 4, that means that there's no defense and no rebounding going on whatsoever because those guys don't defend and don't rebound worth a lick. So now you got a very weak front court, so you can't put those two guys in. And the Knicks don't have a backup center, a true backup center. So now you're talking about bringing Kenyon Martin in as the center.
Yeah.
So now you got Kenyon Martin as the center with, let's say, Stoudemire at the 4. Then what do? Put Bargnani at the 3?
Right.
I mean, it all depends. I think you need to move Melo to the 3.
Yeah.
Bargnani starts at the 4 because he can stretch the floor and give Melo a lane to get to the basket because you have to respect the shot. So the Knicks starting 5 needs to be Raymond Felton, Iman Shumpert until JR gets back. Then maybe you can decide what you want to do with JR. But I think Iman needs to start at the 2.
Right.
Melo at the 3, Bargnani at the 4, and Chandler at the 5.
Right.
And then you're looking at a backup.
So basically, you're putting all of this, it's up to Woodson because the Knicks have the talent. It's a matter of how they utilize this talent to finish in that spot. So this comes down to Mike Woodson making the right decisions with the roster. Who starts, who comes off the bench, and positioning on the floor. And that's all on Coach Woody. So
it's all on Woody, and he needs to make the in-game adjustments, which we saw that he didn't really do last season or the season before that. He needs to make in-game adjustments, and he needs to figure out what the best... Hey, maybe that's not the best formula. Maybe the best formula is, Felton, Shumpert, Meta, Melo, and Chandler. Maybe that's a better, and then they figure out what they're going to do with Bargnani and Stoudemire off the bench.
Right.
But I think that Meta should be in the second unit because the second unit, when you take Chandler and Shumpert off the court, you lose all defense. There's no other true defenders on this team other than Shumpert and Chandler. But now that you bring Meta in, he can sort of be the anchor of the defense and get in guys' faces and say, hey, listen, you got to defend more. You got to go for that loose ball because he'll do it.
Right.
So you need to put him into the second unit to make that second unit more disciplined.
Right.
And scoring won't be an issue for that second unit because you'll have Bino Udrih, who we know can score, J.R. Smith, who we know can score, Tim Hardaway Jr., who we believe can be a scorer.
Yeah.
We don't know. He's a rookie.
Right.
And Bargnani and Stoudemire. Those are all scorers. Those are all guys who all they do is score. So you need a defensive presence on the court at some point. And Meta will be that guy. So I think you need to have Meta in the second unit.
Absolutely. And, I just hope we see better decisions from Mike Woodson than what we saw in the playoffs, how he utilized certain guys and what he was doing at certain times. He was great during the regular season. If it's one thing about the Knicks that we've been noticing, especially since Woodson took over the last two playoff appearances and whatnot, Woodson really did a great job in the regular season. And the Knicks finished unbelievable both times. When he took over for D'Antoni, completely different record from that point going forward. And then coming into last season where they had 54 wins, I mean, they finished right up there. as one of the top teams in the East, right behind Miami. So, you know, the regular season doesn't necessarily bother me about the Knicks, but come playoff time, that's where I get more concerned because they're a liability to me. That team, no matter who they play in the playoffs, I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know what it is. Obviously, health is going to be a big factor to this team as well. But, you know, it didn't work out against Indiana. It didn't happen.
Well, you know why? It's because during the season, they threw 1 million three-pointers up, and they were able to hit a whole bunch of them.
Right.
In the playoffs, baskets are harder to come by. So when you have Melo doing all your scoring and everybody else shooting threes...
The intensity is definitely different. The only thing in their defense is the injuries. That's all I'm giving them. You know, Tyson Chandler had a bulging neck problem. I mean, that's like a disc or in his neck, whatever it was. That's a serious injury, okay? Picture having a bulging disc in your neck and just having to deal with that every single day, and you're going to play basketball with it. Yeah, all right, you can think about it. But you can actually think about it. But that's, you know, these guys, I think they're tougher. They don't want to show like they're weak or anything. Nope, I'm going to go out there. I'm not going to talk about it. Then you find out a guy's playing with fluid in his knee, and you got a guy that's playing with like some fractured, whatever the hell it was in Melo's arm, whatever he was playing with his elbow.
Melo had a torn labrum or a partially torn labrum.
That's what I'm saying. Like, all these guys are injured.
Had a degenerative knee issue that he had to have surgery on. Tyson Chandler had the bulging neck.
Right.
Amari Stoudemire didn't even play.
Right.
There's no question that there were injuries on this team.
Right.
But you got to go a different route, like you said. Woody's got to make some adjustments because the isolation with Melo wasn't working, and the three-pointer wasn't falling. So when that wasn't working, it's like the Knicks didn't know what to do. They didn't have any other solution.
It was mind-blowing.
You got to have some more. That's where team ball comes in.
Right.
Against a team like the Pacers, you can't have ISO ball.
Well,
it just won't work.
And this is what scares me. All right. Part of me likes the Bargnani trade for them because, look, they needed another scorer, okay? This guy at least can create his own shot. How good he is he the best in the business? No. But is he a somewhat proven player? Is the potential there? Like, he's been in the league for a while. We kind of know what we're getting with him. But he is able to create his own shot. We've seen him do it over the years. I think, though, is he going to accept the type of role that he's going to have to play on this team? Or is he going to come in as that one-on-one player and interfere with what Carmelo Anthony's doing? Because that's not going to work, in my opinion. Then it's a total. Then you're going back to you might as well just play Amari Stoudemire the whole game. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. So I don't know, but anyway, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, J.R. Smith making headlines while we're still on the Knicks. J.R. Smith had some comments from Paul Pierce, and did he declare a title? Did he declare a title for New York? We got all that. Stick around, Talkin Hoopz, TalkinHoops.com, NBRPA Miami chapter, NBRPAMiami.com. Check them out.
Don't foul out. Talkin Hoopz will be right back. I'm Mark Sanchez with a message for women. This is the actual sound of my heartbeat. I'm sharing my heart to let you know that the symptoms of women's heart attacks can be different from men's. Please learn more. All it takes is a few minutes of your time in return for years of healthy life. That's a deal even my agent couldn't negotiate. Cover your heart. Learn more. CVS Cares.
The new free CBS Radio app streams your favorite CBS radio stations, as well as all your favorite AOL and Yahoo Music stations directly to your iPhone, iPod Touch, and BlackBerry Bold. With 30 genres of professionally programmed stations at your fingertips, you can hear whatever you want, whenever you want. Stations like K-Rock, 1010 Wins, WFAN, AMP, and over 600 others. Now you can easily take your favorite stations with you on the go. The CBS Radio app is everything you wanted from streaming radio and a whole lot more. Go to cbsradio.com/mobile to download your app today.
This is AJ, and you're checking out Talkin Hoopz, where you can hear the true legends of basketball. If you missed any of the action from today's show, you can find the full episode on TalkinHoops.com or YouTube.com/TalkinHoops. And don't forget to follow @TalkinHoops on Twitter and give us a like on Facebook for all the latest around the league.
Sassy!
This week's episode, Bobcat in the Cave.
Gosh, Johnny, playing in the cave sure is neat. Oh boy, a kitty cat. Sassy, the kitty cat much to choose from. It's a shame more people don't adopt from shelters.
This bobcat's heavy. Help, Sassy!
Why bother? We'll just get into more trouble tomorrow?
What's that supposed to mean? Oh, nuts!
Sassy is brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org. Remember, adopt.
My dream is to become a mechanical engineer.
My dream is to be a ballerina.
My dream is to be a veterinarian.
I want to be a chef, truck driver, a teacher,
A shoe designer.
Professional skateboarder.
But right now,
I'm just a kid.
just a kid.
I'm just a kid.
I'm just a kid ready to be adopted.
Ready to be adopted.
I'm just a kid ready to be adopted. For the facts about adopting a child from foster care, contact the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption.
Hey guys, this is AJ. Want to talk more hoops? To bring the show into overtime, check out TalkinHoopz.com. Catch ya on the rebound.
Welcome back to Talkin Hoopz.
About 15 players in the team. 14 get along.
Now here's a guy who likes to dunk.
On an 8.5-foot ring. Take it away, AJ.
And we're back. Talkin Hoopz, TalkinHoopz.com. AJ, Kyle, always here for the show to give you the latest on everything going on in the world of basketball. We got it right here. Mark Strickland, usually joining us for the show, regular co-host, former NBA player for the Heat. He is not with us tonight because he is playing dad, and he is being a good one at that, and taking his son to his football game or practice, wherever we were. Got a nice little text from Mark. And just NBRPA Miami chapter. It's the National Basketball Retired Players Association's Miami chapter. And you can check them out at nbrpamiami.com. Get at them, tweet them. A lot of big stuff happening in that organization. And you know what? I just wanted to say shout out to Jerry Stackhouse for coming on the show last week. That was a lot of fun. Great guy. And it was cool for him to kind of get back into his Washington days for a little bit, playing with MJ. That was
one more year,
fun.
Stack. One more year.
Definitely. Yeah, I hope so.
One more year, baby.
And he had some good games. A couple of good games. One in particular stands out against the Boston Celtics. That guy was just spotting up from the corner. Stack was spotting up from the corner and just knocking everything down left and right. It was great. It was really a lot of fun to see. Just a great player. And coming up, hopefully in another 2 weeks, we got Jeff Hornacek, the new Phoenix Suns head coach. We'll chat with him. Actually, he will be coming on, so that'll be fun. And talk to him about Eric Bledsoe, the mini LeBron. So a lot of big stuff.
Beasley, a lot of topics in Phoenix.
Lot of stuff. You could sense the NBA season is coming. Obviously, football season is pretty much here, but the NBA season is coming. It's
football
coming.
Season's Thursday.
That's right. It's here. It's pretty much here.
Denver, Baltimore.
Yeah. So. But anyway, a lot of good stuff happening with Talkin Hoopz. So tweet us, get at us, follow us at Talkin Hoopz, and, just stay up to date with everything. We got you guys covered. But getting back into this, we left the break talking about the Knicks. TalkinHoopz.com thinks they're going to finish third in the East, assuming Mike Woodson is on his A game and is coaching these guys.
Right.
But J.R. Smith, making some headlines right now, taking some shots at Paul Pierce.
What do you say?
Oh, if I don't know word for word, you definitely know word for word. So why don't you go with the word for word?
No, I don't know word for word, but I do know that he called out Pierce. He called him bitter, right? Was that?
He said bitter. He said he's a bitter player because he got traded from the team that he only knows, the Boston Celtics, and he also said that he doesn't know anything about New York. So, which is, that's
true. That's true.
Guy plays in Boston his whole life. How much could he really know about New York? Except that New York doesn't like Boston, and Boston doesn't like New York at the end of the day. That's really what it comes down to.
Pierce, it's like I said last week or 2 weeks ago on the show, this Knicks-Nets rivalry is sort of fabricated. It's not real. I mean, Pierce is not a real New York guy. He's just coming here for maybe 1 or 2 years. Garnett's the same way. Maybe here 1 or 2 years. He's not a New York guy. You got Jason Kidd, who's now a first-year coach. He just was on the Knicks last year. Now he's on the Nets this year.
Right.
There's no rivalry, really, like when you're thinking about the Knicks and the Heat. I mean, Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway, those guys were like Miami guys, you know.
Right.
Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing. Those guys were Knicks. John Starks. Those guys were true blue and orange Knicks players. I mean, they rep the city. For the most part, that's the only teams that they knew.
Right.
This is not the same thing. JR, grew up in Jersey. That's the area. That's sort of the New York tri-state area.
Right.
I believe Melo was born in Brooklyn.
Yep.
So you have some guys that are kind of, they have loose ties to New York. But Melo, even what is Melo entering in New York? This is like his fourth year going into New York. His third or fourth year in New York.
Yeah.
It's more fabrication than real hate, in my opinion. Maybe Pierce doesn't really like the Knicks, but that's from his Boston days. That's not from him being a Brooklyn guy.
And look, just saying, okay, I know he's coming out and saying all this stuff about the Knicks, and I don't care how good the Nets just got. Melo plays great against the Nets. He always has since he's been with the team. He just puts up numbers against the Nets. He did all 4 games last season. He just came to, they didn't necessarily win every game, but hey, Melo's hungry, okay? Melo is one of those guys where his time is running out, especially with the Knicks, to win a title. They got a core group of guys right now where they feel that they can win a title. He feels this team can win a title. Right. According to J.R. Smith, they will win a title. But I'm just saying, you're feeding into that. You're telling a guy that really wants to win a title he can't. And a guy like Melo, that doesn't faze him. He feeds off of that. Like, keep telling him stuff. We've seen Melo get mad, and he just goes off in games. He just goes off in games. Flat out just makes shots.
Not be mad and go off in game.
So, I think if I'm Paul Pierce, I would really just be very careful about what I'm saying, what I'm sparking. That's all.
That situation in a nutshell. They're in a win-now situation with a rookie coach.
Yeah.
Okay? To me, that's not a recipe for success, which is why I don't have them finishing in the top 4 in the East.
Right.
We have them forecasted as 5th in the East.
5th? Not even 4th. Not even 4th.
Well, they lost to the Bulls without Derrick Rose last year.
Right.
Now the Bulls get Derrick Rose back.
Right.
I don't think that the Nets did that much to get better than the Bulls, Knicks, Pacers. They bring in Pierce and Garnett, which is huge.
Right.
But these guys are at the end of their careers.
Yeah, already said. Garnett's not going to play every game. I know.
Right. Not going to play back-to-backs probably.
I got it.
So you got a lot of handcuffs on this team in terms of age and how much minutes they're going to play, how many games they're going to play. There's no chemistry. You're bringing in 2 guys that are probably going to be in the starting lineup that you're inserting.
Right.
So the chemistry isn't going to be there right off the bat. And then the rookie head coach. You got to take in all these factors, man.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But, strong words for J.R. Smith to say the Knicks are going to win a title. I'm curious to see what happens. A lot of injuries last season.
What is he going to say? We're going to compete? I mean, what do you expect him to say? Is he going to say, I hope that we're going to win a championship? No, if you're on a team that's a competitor, boom, we're going to win. What's up?
Right. Well, Brandon Jennings said the same thing. They were going to beat the Miami Heat in the playoffs, and they got swept. But guys do it all the time. You're right.
But we don't think we're going to win?
You're right. But I like that J.R. Smith, he's not afraid to hit the media and go back at guys. It's, hey, that guy can say whatever he wants. No, he just went out to Paul Pierce. You have no clue what you're talking about. You just should be quiet. You have no clue what you're talking about. See, this is what gets me amped up for the NBA.
But JR's got to come back.
There's stuff brewing.
But JR's got the knee injury, and he's not going to be ready for the start of the season. There's no timetable for his return. So, he's got to worry about getting back, before he makes any championship.
Yeah. And drain the fluid.
But the Bulls, we believe, are going to be the 4th best team in the East. I think getting Derrick Rose back is huge.
Yeah.
Obviously, Boozer and Noah played great last year, and Noah was even hurt, and he played great last year.
Yeah.
They bring in Mike Dunleavy. You can't forget about that. And Jimmy Butler was one of the big surprises from last season. The way he came along and the way he performed in the postseason.
Yeah.
Really, really important minutes. They're going to rely on him. The only drawback with the Bulls is that their bench is weak. I mean, Mike Dunleavy is their best bench player. They didn't do a lot to improve their bench. So a lot of minutes and a lot of production is going to have to come from their starting 5 because Taj Gibson and Mike Dunleavy is really the only guys that we're looking at from their bench that are going to be producing probably.
Right.
Nets in 5th. We just spoke on that.
Right. And here's
where it gets interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. And this, you know what? As much as I know, I agree with you because I feel like you're going to go with the Pistons at the next spot, but
Pistons in the 6th seed.
But you know what? I think that could go either way because I feel like the Pistons, they could end up in the 8th or 7th spot. I really like the Cavs if they're healthy. I like them to finish, believe it or not, in that 6th spot. I like the Mike Brown move back to Cleveland. If Andrew Bynum's healthy, we know what he can do. Kyrie Irving may be the best point guard in the NBA this coming season if he's healthy. Jared Jack they pick up, who was a big energy guy and was clutch for Golden State. Okay, they had the first overall draft pick. If he turns out to be, Anthony Bennett, if he turns out to be unbelievable, that's big. Deion Waiters, he had some words. He thinks he could be the best shooting guard in the NBA. So all that putting in, Varejão's coming back from being injured. He's going to be there. I just like this team. I like the coach. I like the team. I like the fans. I'm excited for Cleveland, and I think they're going to finish better than 8th. I think that those 3 teams that we're about to talk about, the Pistons, which was the other team? We got the Pistons, the Cavs, and
Washington?
Washington, correct. Those 3 teams.
The 7th seed.
I agree. All 3 of them are going to be in the playoffs, but the order, I really like Cleveland. I kind of like Cleveland, man.
Well, here's
I really like Cleveland.
They can have the best front court in the NBA when you talk about Greg Monroe at the 5, Andre Drummond at the 4, and Josh Smith at the 3. That's a lot of defense. That's a lot of block shots.
Right.
Nobody's getting to the rim.
Right. And that's solid offense. That's solid offense. That's not even like bad offense.
Look, Andre Drummond was probably one of the best players in the Summer League.
Yeah.
He is taking on a leadership role at a very young age with this team. He's trying to schedule workouts. He's in the gym a lot. He is going to be very good this year. He may be a candidate for most improved player. Greg Monroe is one of the best defensive centers in the NBA.
Okay.
Monroe, Drummond, and Josh Smith. That is one of the best front courts in the NBA by far.
Right.
And then bring in Brandon Jennings. That is a huge deal because they need backcourt help. They need a guy who can score in the backcourt.
Right.
Him and Chauncey Billups. You can't forget about bringing in Chauncey Billups to this team. He knows the Detroit franchise.
Teammate of the Year. The first ever Teammate of the Year award.
Chauncey Billups, exactly.
Chauncey Billups.
He is going to be a huge leader for that team.
Yeah.
Telling them where they need to be, where they need to go, how they need to do things. Because it's a young team at the end of the day for the most part. So you have a great balance there, and that's my sexy pick of the year. The Detroit Pistons had an amazing offseason, and through great drafting, they have put themselves in a position.
If anyone didn't know, Kyle's obsessed with the Detroit Pistons.
I think the Detroit Pistons could even upset a team in the first round.
Wow.
Look out Indiana, look out Brooklyn, look out New York.
Here's my only doubt with the Pistons, okay? My only doubt. This is really, to me, the factor. Brandon Jennings, to me, he has to adjust his game. He cannot just be a chucker like he was in Milwaukee. He needs to look to set guys up, I think, a little bit more. I really, really think that is what's going to make the Pistons as good as you think they're going to be. Because it doesn't work if your point guard is not on the same page as the other players. That's already a start. If your point guard is not on the same page as the other players, that's a recipe for a disaster. It's not going to work. It may work defensively, but your point guard sets up your offense. Okay? And if the offense is going to run through Brandon Jennings looking for his own shot, like he was in Milwaukee more so than anything else, I don't know if the Pistons are going to finish at the 6th spot.
And that's why you have Chauncey Billups, because he will be that guy to say, hey, listen, the point guard, these are your responsibilities.
Right. What I do like also is Maurice Cheeks is now the coach of the Pistons. Okay? He could definitely help out Brandon Jennings in that department. So, I think that is definitely going to be a plus for the Pistons as well. I do like the upgrade. Sorry, Bucks fans, but Brandon Jennings is a better player than Brandon Knight. Look, guy's got potential, but I just don't think Brandon Knight is ever going to be an all-star, and Brandon Jennings clearly could possibly be an all-star. So, and that's just the way it is. Not to hate on Bucks fans. It's just the way I see it. That's why we do the show. We tell it like it is. So,
like it is, babe.
Yeah, definitely. All right, wrapping it up here. Actually, speaking of the Bucks, Caron Butler trade. Touch on that real quick. Caron Butler. I mean, more so. I don't know how effective he's going to be on the court. He is kind of like getting up there in age, but definitely finally got a veteran to say something to these guys in the locker room. So that was big.
Yeah, but the Bucks I don't think are going to make the playoffs. I think they fall out of the playoffs. they lose Brandon Jennings and Monta Ellis.
Yeah.
They have a long way to go. I do like Larry Sanders, though. I think he's a very good player.
Yeah.
Defensively, obviously, his offensive game has to come along a little bit, but I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
Definitely. And then another topic, headline in the NBA, Antoine Jameson touching on Kobe Bryant and Dwight Howard's relationship, saying it was difficult. I'm sure it was difficult. It clearly showed it was difficult last season watching the Lakers. I was not happy with that at all.
Trust issues.
A lot of trust issues. So it's interesting to see. You know what? And look, not too much in Lakerland going on right now. Just losing Artest, losing Metta World Peace, losing Dwight Howard.
Kobe Bryant jumping off a 40-foot diving board.
That's big. That's big. That's going to be the best thing all season. They should just play that 100 times instead of the Lakers games that made all these national televised games for the Lakers here. That's crazy. That's crazy. I think that's insane. But I'm excited to see how Dwight Howard. I'm pumped for Houston, man. I like the moves they made. Ronnie Brewer just officially signed a couple days ago with the Rockets, so another great addition in my opinion for them. They're going in the right direction. They got a good GM. Hey, it's definitely going to be an interesting season for the Houston Rockets. Just the NBA, man. It's in the air. It's here. I love it. So wrapping up the show. NBRPA Miami chapter, NBRPAMiami.com. We are their official talk show of the retired players. Hopefully Mark Strickland, he will be back with us next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll hear from him. Strictly speaking, like what I did there. I like it. And for Kyle, for AJ, as always, Talkin Hoopz, TalkinHoops.com. We'll catch you guys on the rebound.
Until Talkin Hoopz comes back into play, stay connected by getting at us on iTunes. Keep up to date with all the latest basketball news and rumors and check out all our shows by logging on to TalkinHoops.com.
Catch you on the rebound.